Hey, welcome to the first Spreecast with Bret Saberhagen. Very excited about this to connect with you guys live. So hope you enjoyed as much as I do. A little nervous about the whole entire process. Go through this little piece of paper that I put a bunch of notes on to give you guys a little information before we get going. And then we'll ask some, hopefully you guys ask some good questions, some great questions, and hopefully I can give you some good answers. So hold on one second. Let me give you the lowdown. Uh, yeah, I do need glasses. I just turned 50, as you may know. So actually, I turned 40. That's when I couldn't see a damn thing in front of me. Far away, I could see fine, but up close, it's still a little tough. So, apologize for any Spreecast problems that may occur because this is my first go with this. So, problems that may occur, hopefully, we'll get them fixed in a quick period of time. We'll do about a 20-minute chat or so. Could go a little bit longer, but first chat, if it goes well, we'll do a little bit longer. If we have some good questions, keep coming in. We'll maybe go a little bit longer than 20 minutes. Okay, so when you enter your questions, you must text them in a box labeled viewers' questions and suggestions. So if you have a question that you want to ask, put it in the viewers' questions and suggestions. The chat box on the right of the screen is for users to chat with each other for questions. So if you happen to want to ask a question, you can ask anybody that you want to chat with that question, but it won't get to me. So the viewers' questions and suggestions, that's where you enter your questions for me. We're going to be giving away one of these jerseys to one of the best questions that we get. So sit back, relax. Hopefully you come up with the best question. And you got a Royals, you got a Mets, you got a Red Sox jersey to choose from. So whichever you choose, we'll put a little something on there, a little signature, and get it off to you. And I think that's about it. So as finish up here, we'll finish up a little bit after. We'll talk a little bit. I want to also remind people that you can see me on Twitter at Sabes, capital Sabes, and Instagram at Bret Saberhagen, and Facebook on my fan page at facebook.com/Bret Saberhagen. So keep up with me. A lot of good stuff coming and going throughout the year. Baseball in full swing right now, so it's been fun. I actually got two TVs on over there right now. I'm keeping up with them tonight. So sorry to interrupt whatever game you might be watching tonight, but here we go. Let's go with the first question. Let's get this thing started. Let's see if I can find the first question here. Okay. First little problems here. What is my favorite team that I played for? But I can't find out who asked this question. Bear with me. Chad Tillman. That's the question. Okay. Still trying to figure out where all these questions are. Let's see. Okay, Chad, my favorite team that I actually played for was the best playing days, and I got to go back to my Royals playing days. We had a great group of guys that turn down this volume so I don't hear myself. I don't know if you guys can hear me now, but the best team that I played with the Royals, as far as that's concerned, it was a great time. Great group of guys. We did so many things on and off the field together. We had golf outings after the season was over. We made trips to South Carolina, North Carolina, all over. We just had a good group of guys that we really enjoyed being around, not just on the field but off the field, close families and that. So the best playing days that I had, and baseball with the Royals. It was an easy place to play as well. I was fortunate to start off in Kansas City because I think starting off in like a big media market such as Boston or New York, where I played with both of those teams, it would have been a little tough being a young player, especially 19 years old, my first week in the big leagues, 20 years old, to really adapt to the media and attention that you were getting and how to go about your daily business on and off the field. So I think I was fortunate coming up with the Royals organization. Thank you very much for the question. Go to the next one. I'm still trying to find out where all these questions come up. Let's see here. Next question. Who is your most interesting teammate off the field? I don't know, my most interesting. I think my best teammate that I ever played with. There was two guys that really got me going in baseball, and I go back to my Kansas City days. I have made lots of great friends. Hate to leave anybody out, but each team that I went for or played for, I had some really good teammates, and still to this day have a good relationship with them. I have to go back to Mark Gubizov, who we came up together in the minor leagues, and we made the big leagues at the same time in 1984 together. And it was made it easier, the transition coming from the minor leagues at a young age, and he was young as well. I think Gooby was 21 at the time. So coming up with somebody that was the same age as you were, as I was, it made it a little easier transition. You had somebody to go to lunch with, somebody to room with, somebody to do all those things. But the guy that really took us under his wing was George Brett. Gooby and I both roomed for the first month of the season. It's a great story. He took us in and said, "Hey, don't worry about a place. You're going to come and stay with me, and we'll find you a place." So about after a month of living with him, he finally said, "I've had enough of you guys. I'm finding you a place." Gooby was you would think a guy from Philadelphia would be a little bit more outspoken. He was a quiet one. After about 2 weeks living there, he asked George if he could use his telephone to make a phone call to his mom or something. But back then there was no cell phone, so Gooby was a quiet one. Me, on the other hand, I was going into George's closet, taking his clothes, wearing whatever I wanted to. He had two cars. I didn't have my car in town at the time, so he had two cars. He said, "You can use one of my cars." And he had a Mercedes and a Ford Bronco, an old Ford Bronco. So I'll take the Mercedes. And he said, "No, there's no way in hell you're taking the Mercedes. You get the Ford Bronco." So George was very good to us. And after that year was over, well, actually, it wasn't over. When we came to playoff times, we moved back in with him because our lease was up on the apartment that Mark and I were renting down in the Plaza in Kansas City. So George has always been a great friend, great teammate, and took really good care of us. I'm not even sure who asked that question. I got to find out where all this stuff is. But that was a very good question. Let's see. Um, can you tell us about your foundation? Um, Foundation, the Bret Saberhagen Make a Difference Foundation. It's something that I started probably about 10 years ago. It's a nonprofit organization where there's no employees. It's just myself. My mom helps out quite a bit with it. Where we raise money for youth programs. It could be baseball. It could be with Kratina, the hurricane. Shoot, I can't even pronounce it right now. But we donated school supplies to them. There's autism. We've done stuff with autism, juvenile diabetes. We've done multiple things. Actually, this week, my old high school, Cleveland High School in San Fernando Valley, got vandalized. So donating some money. Talked to Easton and trying to get them some more equipment this week. to replace their stuff that they've lost. So it does multiple things. We took inner city kids in Chicago to their first big league game with at the White Sox Stadium last year. And got the transportation for them, food for the games, and that. So we do a lot of different things, but it's always geared towards youth, and it's something where I really enjoy it. It's always something that I feel like I need to give back, and it's a great avenue for me to do that rather than just showing up at charity events throughout the year, which I do a lot of. But through my foundation, I get to do stuff that I really enjoy doing. So um, thank you for that question. I'm still trying to find out who's asking these questions. Let's see. Next question. What was it like pitching in the 1985 series? And do you have any advice for young pitchers? Oh, there it is, Logan. Logan asked this question. Pitching in 1985, the World Series was, I guess, a little nerve-wracking. I think what really helped during the World Series is that we were down 3-1 against Toronto, and we came back and won that series. So being down early, the first 2 games at home, it just felt like, hey, we go out and win this thing, regardless of where we're at in the series. We just always pulled together and never really panicked. So I think the most nervous that I've ever been in my entire career to a game pitching was probably the last game, Game 7, because I realized that if we win, we're world champions. If we lose, everything that we work for and we've come this close will be for naught. You seem to not remember who finished second, but you always remember who was the champion. You always remember it as a champion if you did that. So that was probably the most nerve-wracking. Fortunately for that particular game, the guys went out and scored a lot of runs early. I think by the second inning, I finally got calmed down. But that was, and again, George's locker was right next to me. And he came up to me before the game. He saw that I was a little nervous. He goes, "What are you worried about? We win, we're world champions. We lose, we come in second. So just go out there and be yourself." But Logan, thank you for that question. Oh, advice for some young pitchers. Um, First pitch strikes. Learn an off-speed pitch, preferably a changeup. But if you go strike one, you can do anything you want to that particular hitter. You fall behind, and then you're whatever you want to do, it, it shortens up. So I go strike one. I can throw any pitch in my repertoire in any location in the strike zone, out of the strike zone on that second pitch. If I go ball one, it limits what I can really do. And then if you fall behind further than that, ball two, 0-2, or 2 balls, no strikes, it even limits it more. So first pitch strikes are the most important, and then also learning that changeup, which is probably my second pitch when I was playing in professional baseball was the changeup. So I went fastball and changeup. There's Ashby, my dog, just walked behind me. She's hanging out listening to it. So, Logan, again, thanks for the question. Let's see, we got Chris Green. Oh, okay, now we're finding it. You talk about being in the zone. I remember watching you pitch, and in the early innings, you were just blowing hitters away. I was just a kid. Come on, Chris, you were just a kid. You look pretty young in this picture I see. Telling my mom that I thought you'd throw a no-hitter after the second inning. You ended up that game with a one-hitter. Um, Being in the zone, it's funny because you can be in the zone on any given day, and sometimes you throw your worst bullpens. You get warming up before the game, and you have your worst bullpen, and you might go out and have your best game. Some days when you have your best bullpen and everything's working in the bullpen, you might have your worst game. So it's funny. You can never really judge if you're in the zone or not by being in the bullpen. It's I've done it many times where I thought I had my best stuff and got hit around pretty good. So being in the zone, and maybe being in the zone. I mean, for a particular game, but you can also be in the zone for a period of time where each and every outing that you get into, I might go a month. I think being in the zone, my best being in the zone was probably August 1989. We went to a four-man rotation because we were trying to make the playoffs. And decided to go to a four-man rotation. I think I might have won 8 games, seven or 8 games in August that year, and I ended up going on to win 23 games that year. But if I ever say that I was in a zone time and place in 1989, and if you can remember that I started off that season pitching really bad. I don't think I got out of the first or second inning against the Toronto Blue Jays. My first start. The second start, I think I got hit around. I think I had a 16 ERA after my first 2 games and ended up with a 2.16 ERA. So the zone comes and goes, but it's always a lot of fun being in that zone. Thanks, Chris Green, for that question. Very good question. Next question. Do you miss the Cleveland Cavalier days? Times were so different in the 70s and 80s. It was more about the game and very rarely about salaries brought up. Going to Dodger Stadium with a family and getting autographs right when you entered the stadium. Do you share the frustration based on how the sport is today? Heck, that goes with any sports and all sports. I wish my kids could experience what you were brought up with. By the way, my father sends his best. Still remember the big Cavalier championship game at Dodger Stadium. He pitched a no-hitter. All our best, Dan Lippman and Fred Lippman, former VP at Cleveland High School. Thanks, Dan, for the question. And that is a great question. Yes, it's kind of funny because any job that you have, and especially being an athlete, you can only make a certain amount of money for a certain amount of time. It's not a career where you can do it late into your 50, 60 years old. You can't be an athlete, a golfer. Some people might want to say that golfing's not a sport or you're not an athlete playing golf, but I believe it is. That's another subject. But I think back growing up, my first game that I ever went to was at Wrigley Field. It was a doubleheader. They don't schedule doubleheaders anymore. They want both gates. So if they get rained out a game and they got to play 2 games on one day, it's usually them getting 2 gates. So you very rarely you'll see. I don't think it happens anymore. A double header where you only pay for 1 game and you get to see 2 games. And there's a lot of money out there for ball players. There's tons of money coming in for the owners, and I think both sides are doing very well. But it does make it tough for a family of 4 to go out and really enjoy maybe 10, 12 games in a year. You might only see a couple games in a year. So it's become more of a business where if you're working for a company, you might get their seats periodically and be able to go out and enjoy a game with the family and that. So, you're watching a lot more on TV and really not getting out to as many games as you did as a kid. And, it makes it tough. So it's kind of tough for me to say that, I wish that salaries were less because you can only make that amount of money for a certain period of time. The salaries are very large, but great question. And thanks. I'm glad, Dan, that you were able to get a question in. Next question. I loved watching you pitch successfully against Reggie Jackson. Who was your favorite batter to face? I think when you get to the big leagues, you ever have a favorite batter. Reggie Jackson, fortunately for me, was one of those guys. And it was later in his career when I faced him. I didn't face him in his prime, but knock it off. My mutt's acting up. Sit, be a good girl. All right. Um, anyways, yeah, Reggie was towards the end of his career, and you guys got to see this. She's chasing her after her tail. Nothing like being distracted on your first video chat. But Wade Boggs, my most problems swinging a bat. For instance, one game that I threw to him, uh, first at bat, a base hit on a changeup. Second at bat, base hit on a curveball. Third at bat, base hit on a fastball. So he was just one of those guys that knew the strike zone very well. And sometimes if he beat you on one pitch, he was looking for another pitch the next at bat. But Reggie, yeah, I did have some success against him. Still see him periodically, and he's always been very kind to me. And I actually just saw him at the Caddyshack event that Bill Murray's brothers put on. Bill Murray and his brothers put on in Florida not too long ago, which is a great charity event. They do a lot of good stuff raising money for different charities. So thank you for that question, and I'm not sure who it was from. Um, Next question. Your youngest son is pitching at the University of Tennessee. Since he's a southpaw, what kind of challenges did you face in teaching him his pitching mechanics? Thank you for the question. Both of my sons were both left-handed. I always say, since I was traveling a lot, maybe it was from the mailman, but if you ever see my kids, you know that they were definitely from me. Yeah, we're kind of look very similar. I'm sorry, Drew and Dalton, for the hair loss that you're going to have when you get to be my age. As you can kind of see, it's kind of going. The power gaps are working pretty good. But both left-handed pitchers. Nobody's been left-handed in either side, Janine's or my family. So it trying to teach them mechanics. It's basically just a mirror. So in working with left-handers or right-handers, it's very simple to work with them. The one thing took a long time for them to actually ask me for advice. I was never one of those dads that wanted to push the kids into working out, into getting better, into this and that. I always talked to them about you need to be doing this, you need to be doing that. I always said that if you want my advice, I'm here. Let's go. We'll go and get a bullpen in. We'll go and swing the bat. We'll work on whatever you want to work on. Never forced them to do it, and it took them time that they were probably about 14 years old to really come and ask me for advice. There's times where I would go through friends and say, "Hey, they're not going to take this from me, and they're not going to digest it. If I have to say something to them, it's almost like it's disciplinating them or trying to tell them that something goes in one ear and out the other." So a lot of times I would have friends give them recommendations and some advice. So I would be coaching them without them really knowing that I was coaching them. Um, see, we got about another 5 minutes after this next question, give or take 5 minutes. But thank you for that question. And left-handers love working with left-handers, by the way. Yeah, especially if you're a left-handed bullpen guy, because they're like Johnny Franco, great guy, but just a character. So fun working with the left-handers. Let's see. I'll see the next question. Uh, if you're following, no, that's not the next question. Next question. What I'm not sure who's from, but what are you doing with the Field of Dreams? A very cool thing coming up, Father's Day weekend. Going back to Iowa, the cast and the crew from the Field of Dreams will be doing the 25th anniversary. I actually did the 20-year anniversary with George, Brett, Johnny Bench, and Kevin Costner at Kevin's house. We watched the Field of Dreams in his movie room, his theater room, which was awesome. Probably one of my favorite movies. Definitely one of my favorite baseball movies, if not the favorite. But we talked. We watched the movie in his room, his movie room, and we went outside and talked about it, what it meant to each one of us. It's on the special edition of the 20th anniversary. If you find that out there, it's pretty cool with all four of us talking about what it meant to us. So the 25th is coming up in it's going to be even better because they're actually going to the Field of Dreams where it was shot with the cast and crew. Looking forward to meeting the rest of the cast and the crew that worked on it. We'll watch it on the field the night that we get in. We'll play a game out there as well. So that's all happening on Father's Day weekend, which will be a blast. I know my daughter's going to go. Brittany will be going out. I'm not sure about the boys if they're going to be able to make it with their baseball schedule, but I'm hoping that they'll be able to make it out as well. So it'll be fun to enjoy and share that with them, along with a lot of other fun people. So if you ever get a chance, if you're in Iowa over Father's Day weekend, come and check it out. Next question. That was actually from SMP. Next question. Chad, get another question. And Chad Tillman. If you had not played baseball, what career would you have chose? Love that question. Well, as a kid, and this is kind of cute. I used to follow around a garbage man. Back in the day, they didn't have the classic dumpsters where they'd pick them up and throw it up over the top. We had aluminum garbage cans that you put out at the street. Guys would come by, excuse me, throw it in. I'd follow them around the streets and watch them take these trash cans, throw them in there, and then this big old thing would come down and smush it, push it all back up into the top of it. So my first thing that I ever wanted to do as a kid was be a sanitation worker, which is not a bad job. Um, Johnny Franco's actually dad. That's where he made his living in that. So the sanitation department does a great job, and Johnny does a great job with the sanitation department back in New York City. Secondly, I wanted to be a firefighter or a baseball player. So it was kind of a toss-up. The baseball thing didn't work out. I was going to go back to be a firefighter. I always felt that if you have a chance to save somebody's life, somebody's property, once in a lifetime would be just a great feeling. The police officers, the fire department, our military, they all do such a fabulous job, and those are true heroes in everyday walk of life. I thought it would have been really cool to have been a firefighter and made a difference in my own little way. Baseball worked out. It got a little old when I retired and never really got involved with the fire department after that. But I thought that would have been a fun and very rewarding job to have taken on. Chad, thank you. Great question. Thank you for that. Next question. What did you most fear, or who did you most fear? I don't know if I really ever feared anybody, but there was one guy in particular that, two guys actually, I'll throw two names out at you that just hit the ball really, really hard. The last thing you want to do is pitch the closest person on the field to the to the plate and to the hitter hitting. So you have to have good reflexes and be able to catch a ball and get out of the way of a ball. But the two guys that really hit the ball hard, uh, I never wanted to have them hit it back at me, so pitched them inside quite a bit and out of the way. Um, Dave Winfield, the first year that I was playing, and Greg Pryor will still tell this story. Greg Pryor was our third baseman in that. He wasn't playing in by any means, and Dave Winfield hit a ball so hard off me that if he didn't catch him, it probably would have went through him at third base. Just a line drive, and I haven't seen anybody hit a ball as hard as that pretty much ever. So Dave Winfield was a great three-sport athlete. Had a chance to go pro in all three sports, and made a great decision on playing baseball. A great humanitarian, and always love talking stories with Dave when I see him. The other guy who was very impressive with the bat, who had the quickest bat that I ever saw, was Andre Dawson. I remember when I was with the Mets and pitching against him, I threw him a ball inside, and he turned on it down the left field line and pulled it so far foul into the stands that I was just blown away. It was like, okay, I've got a good fastball, and I can come inside pretty good, so I'm going to do it again, and I'm going to see if he's really that quick. So the very next pitch, same thing, and he turns on it again. It's like, okay, I think I'm going to go away and go far away from him because he had a very quick bat. So both guys love pitching against. It was always a great challenge. But those two guys, wouldn't say fear, but really good sticks. Thanks for the question. Um, what is the best experience you had as a pro? Um, uh, I just got to go back to the World Series, winning the World Series in 1985. A lot of very cool accolades that I got as an individual. Baseball is a team sport, but it's an individual sport as well. You get paid on how you do as an individual. If you're not playing well as an individual, you're probably not going to be around very long. So I've got a lot of nice awards that I received: Cy Young, Gold Glove, comeback player, no hitter, all that stuff. But the thing that you work on and you want to achieve as a player, as a ball player, is winning a world championship. And it only happens is when the team comes together and plays well. So by far, that was my favorite uh, time. 1985, winning a world championship. It seemed like at a young age I was going to be back there a lot more. Never got back to the World Series, but fortunately we took care of business in '85. Excuse me. Um, all right. It looks like the chat is over with. My first official Spreecast chat, and the winner is the frequent flyer. So the frequent flyer. I think I got a couple of questions from the frequent flyer. Wins one of these jerseys behind me. That's Royals, Red Sox. I need you to contact. Um, take this down, frequent flyer. It's sportsmp at live.com. Again, it's sportsmp at live.com. If you can get in contact with us there, let us know. We need an address. We need to get all that good information, what jersey you want, and we'll get it to you. If you don't happen to hear this, I'll put it up on my fan page to make sure that the frequent flyer is aware. I saw frequent flyer up there earlier, but I just thought it was somebody was trying to give me miles or something. But thanks for the questions from everybody. It's been a lot of fun. I look forward to doing another one at some point in time. And again, have a great day. Go watch your team pull for them. Doesn't matter what team you're pulling for. Make sure that you cheer for them hard. Let's go Mets, Royals, Red Sox. We got Royals, Red Sox, Mets, and Rockies. Oh yeah, and don't forget my Cubbies. Who have a fond spot in my heart. So thanks again. Look forward to the next one. Take care, guys, ladies. Thanks for being here.